Welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. And to anyone who's new, we are all inner child adults here. At least I am, and that's who's ready for actually doing mindfulness, mindset, and anything spirituality, awakening process related. Today we had a couple episodes. You could go watch those. But to maximize Kundalini awakening, spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, all that uses the body and not have any of that horrible shit that people talk about. Some in a way of being completely ignorant of attachment trauma, others just insulting yoga, Reiki practitioners, and maximizing anything in life comes with you owning what is your body. So while I saw dudes do this, they said, you start choosing and rejecting your trauma by the age of 7. I'm like, well, I mean, really, that's not fair. A 0-8-year-old is codependent upon learning how to handle emotions effectively and themselves with self-worth from their parents, and siblings. So the reality is Patrick Tiahan is better suited to support people than the cliche sentence that this individual decided to share, which is the master said, if unresolved trauma can store itself in your muscles, fascia, organs, cells, and the rest of your physical body, so can joy, gratitude, abundance, love, and peace. Your body's also a safe space. Not if your nervous system learned that it's not. As we also discussed in a recent quote, I'm quoting the gist of what Deb Dana was sharing in one of her videos today. This was for NICBM. You can go check out on Instagram. You find from experts like Deb Dana or Stephen Porges that people can be positive emotions because it has a dysregulating effect on their nervous system, which is comfortable with protection. In protection means threat response and not connection. Because their 1-year-old is attached, panicky, and 3 to 7 is shame submissive. So no, you don't actively have the capacity as a 7-year-old to choose joy unless maybe, just maybe, you have a secure attachment figure around you. So it's a lot more in depth than a cliche sentence and or more, which is why anybody who is the 4D collective and or 3D, they're not actively learning what is important. I do, because self-help, personal development, I take seriously. The content I create and the courses I created with a mindset, I decided to add to them. And I also am a mystic, as you know. So when you care about what you do, you don't stop learning, especially because, people, to have them have well-being. And I'm laughing because it's just hilarious. All these individuals that I've found since forever, it seems, that don't care about they do. The latest was the most fascinating of them all. No, not really, but checking for a shortcut for integration, and others, on the other hand, not even knowing that you can't speed it up. Okay, so anyways, the people that I'm talking to either care about their health or don't, and if you don't, then you won't really stay for anything IHP related, because I don't do the let me get a thumbs up. Inspiring human potential was chosen on purpose, being yourself also. Now that I know why so many people have a hard time doing it, again, we talked about it. You can maximize all of spiritual experiences. They're not dangerous for the body. That is actually safe. However, they have completely different situations that go down for the unfortunate business of those who could use Patrick Tiahan completely. All with Patrick. That man is amazing. Everything he offers. He's a childhood trauma survivor. That's why he's amazing. So he's healed. I always say healing, and he spells out every single bit of unkind business that I've ever dealt with from my 0 whenever. No, I was 4. I got rejected by boys. My mom explained that serious kids aren't welcome. No, she didn't say it that way. But my point is, I have a whole self. So when you have an inner child that doesn't get broken because you got an actual parent who teaches you it's okay to be you, and then your body's like, yep, because my body, my nervous system. Okay, so the first thing you'll know from Stephen Porges is that you're only this. Either you're in your state of safety, which is why the person who wants to say you start choosing at 7. No, at 7, you're going to actively be playing out the 0-8-year-old with your household. By 11, you're adolescent. The social system comes online, and now we're going to figure out, no, you're going to be a flag in the wind because you own no sense of self. You don't even have a core self, and you were completely terrorized potentially in your first year. So the reality is, it's not going to look almighty. Actively, by the time you're 6, you might even start drinking in a wine cellar, which is one of the stories I got from one of my beautiful, most amazing friends. And her and I, we lock eyes every time we meet, and she's still hypervigilant. although she's amazing. She's successful as an entrepreneur. She continues to have shitty relationships, but she continues to disregard going on a good long journey. And as Bezel Vanderkolk was sharing in another share from NICABM, it could take up to 20 years. Yes, but the studies have shown that adult trauma can be healed, and he said and specified that, so I'm not sure if it was because the studies he's conducted is with adults, but he wasn't talking about childhood trauma. So that too is an in-depth journey. When you care about yourself, you actively do the healing, and then you say, I want difference to live on self-help, Maria. I'm done with it. I want life now. And I say, you know what? Thank you so much for at least taking care of your 0-8-year-old and all your child parts. Go have fun with Cusco's out there somewhere, because seriously, there's a bunch for anyone. So here we don't do any of that. We don't complain about emotions, because I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and he loves to roll in the dirt and have a good time. No, I don't like to roll in the dirt, but my point is, we love good stress in life and relationships. We love the flow state, which is the bilateral, vertical, and all over integration, and we love it because we love love. All you need is love. Boom, boom. All you need is love. Love is all you need, and that's because you get to be yourself, a whole self. Mindfully, spiritually. You don't have to make anybody choose their ventral vagal state, but please also don't make it sound like everybody can by the age they're 7, because that's ridiculous. Also, I've noticed a lot of mindfulness practitioners have no idea about attachment trauma, and they do take courses and they twist things to their volition, just like the people in person I'm thinking about who wants a shortcut for integration. So mathematics equals math. Miracles, yes, I believe in Jesus. Meantime, again, we each have a role, as those of us who are of true spirituality know, and our voices are here to share. We can all do this together. So I do not believe in imposing, because that's how my mother raised me. Science is, come on in, Robert Spolsky. No free will. God, leave alone the 1-year-old. Maria. Okay, there you go. So whenever you're grounded in reality and you care, again, science is. When someone says neuroscience, everybody has something to believe in. As you're telling them there's no demons, you're like, yeah, okay, I told you I'm a mystic. I come with Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. I know there's no devil, because I know also that all those people, again, who are unkind have a nervous system, and they have trauma charges stored in their muscles, bones, tissues. That comes up with yoga. Lo and behold, yoga and meditation and mindfulness is not dangerous, but if you got shit going on and you didn't go and heal with Patrick Yan, well, guess what? It's not going to look good. And Patrick McNamara, the same neuroscientist who proves there's no demons, and he's working on his data, shares with you what happens with the decentralization of the self and our human evolution. And, you know, people disregard these videos, but then again, some people are experts of the same fields and they disregard the same data. So when you hear anybody saying illusion of free will, illusion of self, or no free will, I mean, really, there's a bunch of different opinions. Anytime we're here to be our true self. So in that's why those of us who have a good time like this, we care to know if somebody doesn't want to be around us, it's okay. I actively know who to ask and say, do you want me to leave by any chance? Because I want to respect that they want to be left alone in their moods. And that's because that's fair. If they have a mood and that's how they're feeling, and they don't want to tent it in any different way, you don't have to participate. So using mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight, we grow inner child adult confidence, and we handle change with good stress, because we choose to stay anchored in our ventral. They don't have to. And in fact, healthy self-worth lady here can tell you all about, I'm not decent enough to be saluted. Not a big deal when you meet unhealthy self-worth people. I mean, really, there's a bunch of them. The ones who also go around telling each other what to do, just as equally teenagerish. So I'm looking for something. Where are you? Here we go. So you dance upon the uncertainties of life when owning sense of self, integrated and anchored in ventral. That's an empowered feminine, which is why no matter who of our oversoul comes around, you will not be destabilizing anyone in the decentralized self. In any of our spiritual awakening, kundalini stuff, you better bet an empowered feminine is like, I know I'm going. And that's this one right here. So subjective experiences are always a part of our equation, and I'm a practitioner that supports one-to-one mentorship, our mindfulness, mindset and mindset practical exercises. Subscribe to the Spotify and podcast or fan base paid, and those are video practical. And then we have main modules. They're free for the inner growth mindset. You inquire about one-to-one mentorship and you sign up for the masterclass if you want, and the future spiritual workshops and retreats. So with that, I'm going to share a little bit of what we got from channeled guidance for our We have one audio episode. I told you about that one. You can go tune it in. It's not going to be the same because I'm doing it in a different way. Channeled guidance is also food for thought, and really securely attached men and women do not come here thinking that they're going to find answers because they don't have human suffering going on. They have a Zen master if they want that. People come here to learn, chit chat, have a good time. Depends, but I'm saying these are supporting you in a very specific way because you're empowered. So you deal with uncertainties and you dance. It's whole self people, just let me specify. And even if you're not whole, you have a good therapist working with you. So you're adding to your practices. You see what I'm saying? You're knowing how to own this so you're not a little flag in the wind like my facade friend who spent billions of monies on someone who then treated him like crap, took it out on quote unquote me, came after everything went down, and I welcomed them because that's the right thing to do. And as I did welcome them, they then later on let me know that it doesn't matter what you provide as a real, authentic person, facades will not be real or authentic. So we don't do any of tug of war with people. And no, empowered feminines, there's not any romance in any relationship unless you have an empowered masculine, because that's an empowered feminine. Now at this point, here's where we shared yesterday and since the new moon, what's going on. So I know that there's empowered masculines who are taking the leap to finally, lo and behold, be their empowered feminine, their own empowered feminine. I'm an empowered feminine. And so with that being said, as you close the door to everything that was from yesterday's news, from your disowned self, you're now a hollow, lovely bone, so teachable because of that bilateral, vertical, and all but self-awareness, accountability, and regulation. You want healthy self-soothing. You're into the gooey ooey-ness of good stress, okay? You don't want to have any shadow. You don't have anything to throw at people. You do know of a heart full of compassion, softness, and that means we're all imperfect and flawed. So, when emotions come up, yeah, you take a deep dive, but not in the way of the Zen master with laundry. No, it's a dive that is with the strength that comes with an inner child adult, and that's with a ventral vagal state and the winds. Fly like the wind. So all that you have sat on from last year to this entire winter, pretty much, you're done. It's good. No hermit mode for empowered feminines. No. You have a soul contract and more, and a contract is primarily with yourself to bring forth the future that you have decided you want and the new beginnings. So you're not overwhelmed by emotions because you do own that sense of self in a way that is grounded in reality, the emergence and the realization of the true expression of you. That's your human name, use it. The magic of your sword is a truth that uses thoughts, emotions, and your human past, meaning your childhood. It's not anything to be ashamed of. Trauma is not something we are ashamed of. The frequency of realization supports the internal process of becoming aware of your heart-centered truth and external process of becoming your highest expression in this world. This is beautiful, empowered masculines. It's finally about time that you caught up with the empowered feminines who seriously just know that you can be yourself. You can be all that you want to be. I got lucky, okay? So again, some of us get lucky, and the emergence, this is even more amazing. It invites you to approach your reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment. This is really fun. I love doing it all the time. So again, I can only imagine how odd, though, it must feel for the empowered masculines because they are not used to it. But I'm sure you're having a good time. That's good. And you're probably, keeping yourself in that little middle ground as you move forward, because we know how it can be. I fall back on patterns. I fall back on patterns too, all the time. Just mine involve something different. But still, it's all the same. So you watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from this new place, which is really, really, again, makes me want to cry right now as I'm channeling, because that's how it feels to know that you have access to your own beginner's mind, because you own that vessel, that thread of yours. You own the love that you are, so you own self-love, and that makes you also own Aletheia. We might read the truth one. Okay, so that is where, with that, your Gaia Gateway activation. So you are grounding in Earth's intelligence, wisdom, learning. Okay, so this is your future. You care probably. I mean, everybody cares about the earth, but some people think just because there's a couple fires that demons are coming out of it every now and then. The 4D, seriously, I mean, they just can't give up Lucifer's story. They really, it's amazing. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not when they want to talk to you about being magical super beings, okay? So Anima Mundi, one, it's an honor and a respect to be part of the shared consciousness sphere, and the ones who are within 3D, 4D, again, they're not good or bad. They're just people who are non-bilaterally integrated, and so they're living out Cusco. Their teenager has a story. They're having an amazing time in their modulated embodiment. I see them, leave them alone. They respect the laws. They just come together. They're called silverbacks, Peter Pans with lost boys. They're all cheering each other on. And in fact, what's unfortunate is they use the same trauma charge together, and they just walk around like Braveheart. So they're not really accepting all and rejecting none. But again, doesn't matter. They lack the self-awareness, accountability, regulation. And like my facade friend, who when things got better, I'm finding out that my friend, as always, doesn't know how to be himself. And then I found out why, though. I was like, okay, so I don't do anything about that when people don't know how to be those who are part of our order of Melchizedek, and to not give up on yourself and to do Dharma, because you are beautiful, again, just the way you are. So your divine feminine has come out to play. Now you're safe. And some of you might still, again, feel awkward, though, because, again, having been used to patterns that involve dysregulation, like Patrick Chan says, he still spots his unkindness and he works with it because he did the healing and now he's a therapist, and with his community they do it. So it's not shame. It's okay, shit. Let me go take ownership of this and I'll try again. And that's also why, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, you want healthy self-worth others, the ones who don't cast stones. And those are all divine feminines, because only masculines and distorted feminines cast stones. We transmute pain, not like the Zen master, because we use two sides of our brain, and we use prefrontal, so we have practice putting mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight, and so you can contain, and more than just contain, as Peter Levine points out, sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. You can now self-regulate, as Pat Ogden points out. So let me go find Pat Ogden, because she is really amazing. For example, sensory motor, somatics, I took a couple courses with her. A non-traumatized person with a secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of relationships, and that's what anyone can be. Now, if you still have stuff coming up, again, there's a lot of words we use, please, and the pseudoscience woo lady, meaning I forget data, I can fuck it up, and I'm not making blanket statements here. So do not quote me, and I'll try my best to remind people, although I am a person who speaks very straightforwardly. But be curious, always discerning for sure. Allow yourself to remember who the experts are. I learn from them. I'm not the mental health expert. I learn from all of them, and I can forget or fuck up data. So curiosity, though, is what leads you. And what I'm trying to say is, once you have a good relationship with your emotions and you're using prefrontal, unlike the Zen master, that's why you would be non-traumatized, because you're your own safe haven, secure base. So you will have earned secure attachment, or you didn't lose it, okay? And that's what the difference is. So our voices are always activated to support the bigger picture. And the matrix doesn't need dismantling. In fact, the reality is dark matter, dark energy, and intelligence, and God, and universe, and source, and the heart of the sky, and all of it is bigger than any one of these small, measly mystics out there. So please, when you hear somebody saying, you know what, I do with the content, and I have the higher activation codes too, just allow yourselves to remember, no. Your piece of Akash, God, you use whatever, if you're spiritual, that you believe in, if you will. And nobody is the bigger power. Nobody. It doesn't matter who's speaking to you from the spirituality perspective. If you want from the mind, then I got names for you, okay? I got Bezel Vanderkolk, Stephen Porges, Pat Ogden, Janina Fisher, Dr. Daniel Siegel. I got Bezel Vanderkolk. Did I say Peter Levine? Okay, so I got names that you can go to one or the other. They'll give you keys and tools. The others I don't, but what I was saying is God's bigger than anyone. So God, as we know, love, kindness, integrity. He doesn't make you afraid. He's not here to scare the shits out of you. And that's actually unfortunate business for the ones who instead don't know this. So you own your tree of life, empowered masculines, empowered feminines, and that's why you have taken the lead And there are no dead ends that you won't have a capacity to be your own lover. And if you do have any siren tendencies, you spot them and you nip them in the butt, because, like an empowered, feminine, and healthy mother, you take care of your body, and that means of your state of safety and being able to navigate that ventral vagal state thanks to your, this is the masculine father, the black and white thinking. So your thoughts, okay? So with your emotions and your thoughts now together, you have that bilateral, vertical, bottom up, top down integration. You work with your star baby. Doesn't mean it's all perfect. No, you know whatever your sweet medium is, but it's healthy. It's healthy self-soothing. It's healthy self-regulating. It's healthy. Dr. Daniel Fox says, as long as you keep moving with your plan, you're going to achieve it. And he works with borderline personality disorder and narcissism. So the eternal child is who you lead with and you want always. And when you have any orphaned parts come out, you know how to allow yourself to not shame, but to do whatever it is that helps that to stay. So if you need support, that's when mentorship added, right? If the therapist, you're done for real. And that poetry, it's about the consciousness, expression, writing, that helps people. And so with that, like I was pointing, you have taken the lead. You have learned from the past, and like the elephant, you get to be wise within and use it, and you're using it to be loyal to who you are, and the genuine relationships you're going to build, and you don't act as if you're a chameleon. You actually are. Because you know how to be non-reactive in any state, and that's because life is a mystery. But you're a transformed butterfly, and thanks to integration of the brain, you know everything about how to work with your mind. And as time speeds up, it doesn't confuse you. So you're not destabilized with that plan. No, again, whether you believe in spirit or not, this is you living mindfully and spiritually. So that's why when uncertainties come about, you're dancing, because you have the own sense of self. I repeat, an integrated brain and an anchored in ventral. Okay, so that's for your independence. That's anybody's independence if they want it. Like Bessel van der Kolk said, though, for some it can take 20 years, which is why shaman telling you on screen, don't go to therapy, I'll save you 20 years. It's bullshit. He won't save you 20 years. That he will be able to clear, yes, that doesn't clear away, as Janina Fisher pointed out in one of my recent courses, your behaviors. And like Patrick Tiahan, because it's the behaviors that you have taken up. And the first 3 years, again, are implicit memory. Then the 3 to 7 are those which are explicit, and you're unconscious, though. You're playing it out, as Terry Real points out, until you learn to love yourself first. And then as Patrick Tiahan points out, until you have reparented your inner child and become the grown-up who's not hypervigilant, but who's a grown-up with the open heart spontaneity of a child, and that's your child. That's why that's your humanity, and not ignoring it. So yoga, mindfulness, meditation doesn't help you own your humanity. No, it helps you, yoga, ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises, mindfulness, 3 pillars of the mind, as Dr. Daniel Siegel presents, which is why it supports integration, focused attention. But in awareness, we have maximum certainty. Any shit going on, it's gonna come up, and you rule with fear, and Cusco's gonna come out of the woodwork when you don't want to do kind intention, because you want to shame, blame, fault, revenge, or play some nasty trick or whatever the heck comes up, or go drink and fuck or do drugs or whatever. Okay, so that's the part of where the attitude lies. So it's, oh wait, which child part, what's going on? And let's not forget about those who have parts of self, those who have bigger than just the child parts. They're the ones who even need more support. Okay, so the big picture is that to be in the now, it's when you have emotions and thoughts, healthy boundaries, healthy self-regulation, healthy self-soothing, so you know how to come out and play, and you do watch your words, and you have a good time with them. You don't play Cusco's words. And if you do, you say, okay, what am I upset about? Because this is me upset. And you take care of it with self-awareness, accountability, regulation. That is what the relationship that is here for one of you or all of you. There's a human being out there who is ready to take that leap of faith. That is a group of the 5D collective, not just one. Okay, but I've been channeling this since our new moon, and we talked about the fear. And so yeah, the love part, we're going to actually do another message. I'll share some more in a separate one just to keep it focused and chit chat a little bit about empowered feminines and empowered masculines. But yeah, there's speaking up with an open heart, being vulnerable. It's the biggest gift you give yourself. And like I shared with you yesterday, if anybody in general is rude to you, meaning that they, I don't know, you get vulnerable and they laugh at you, or you get vulnerable and they betray you, whatever, these things that as a grown-up, I really didn't think grown-ups would still not know how to handle rejection. I handled it at 4, I handled it at 8, I handled it, again, I don't want to be about me, but I mean, how many years does it take before a person learns about self-worth and that there's differences, and then be able to say it's okay. Not everybody's going to like me. That's all this is, but feeling it from here. So, again, that's the part where I know how easy it is for me and why. You know your story. But the part of being yourself and being able to use the flow state, and then to be able and continue empowering your feminine, you're only going to do that when you've taken a leap of faith to be that level of vulnerability with your heart with someone. Because the therapist can do so much. Then it's time to go and do out in the world. Somebody's rude to you, like Dr. Daniel Fox says, don't. It's not a big deal. They're unhealthy. You don't want unhealthy people anyways, because they won't commit to your journey. They won't commit to supporting you. However, you have to be the one to commit to supporting you. So dancing upon the uncertainties of life, when owning sense of self integrated and anchored in ventral, is when we dance. But that means that you not only are a non-traumatized person with a secure attachment, you're getting there, so you know how to regulate independently of other people, all your other relationships, so you have that inner sense of security, but also this one, the circle of compassion. You have it. It does not work and does not move the energy of life if a person is missing, and the person would be you. Jack Cornfield, PhD, kind intention. So when awareness is in place, that's when you can handle what comes up, as Peter Levine points out, and as Stephen Porges will say, then you don't go into biological rudeness. Or I'm using the integration of all of these people, and Dr. Daniel Sieg would say you can work with that left mode. And I would say you're already aware of your right mode. And then I'm going to bring in, who else am I going to bring in? I forgot. There was a name that I was going to bring in, but it slipped my brain. So the long story short, though, is you're going to want the ventral, or you're going to want kind intention. If you don't like kind, because like, ugh, neutral. Okay, neutral. Let me not call it bad. It's not laundry. I'm feeling, thinking. Let me try and make them softer. That's how you help yourself to get to softness with thoughts and emotions. And you say, life is not hard. It's full of uncertainties, unknowns, unwanteds. Again, if you say it's hard, you're going to have laundry, because your body's going to, ugh. And that's because the words do matter. So people who disregard and don't want to, again, they're just rejecting helpful information that can make that suffering go away. So when people say suffering is an option, the ones who don't want to hear it, they say it's not. I'm going to say it's an option, but of course, initially, it will be hard for anyone who is coming from a place of not having a good relationship with this. That's why once you do, the way you're going to bring more of vulnerability and love forth, and your actual self, is with the people who will say, yep, I'll be in your life, but I won't be messing around. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So tune in for more if you'd like. Thanks for stopping by. Help the channel grow if you'd like. And that's with empowered people, loving people, compassionate people, like Jesus taught me, God, Holy Spirit, my mother, my twin, my family, my sisters, all, and everyone. My younger sister, I baby her. That's why she's always in my mind, but she's always on my mind. But, you know, it's one of those things. Anyways, all our family, for some of us, we welcome and thank them for everything they bring to us. Others will thank them, maybe. I don't know about that. Patrick Tiahan has a lot more. He's better at sharing that stuff than I am, because, again, I don't have that stuff to have to forgive. So I can only imagine, and that's the part. I don't live it. That's why I respect Patrick Tiahan and what he does, and I always support his content for anybody who, again, it's hard to experience life and love. It's hard to breathe. He's your best bet. And then you add whenever you want, if you want, stuff that we do here. And you'll be okay with being with gooey, ooey, ooey lady instead of actually, bitches. Again, what Dana shares, which I didn't need her to notice it, but I like to be able to share with our 5D collective what I did, which is leave alone and allow yourself to remove yourself to the best of your ability from the situation, because it's a choice to bring your inner world out and your inner child, adult into the world, and it's actually a big, important one, and it's a scary one, and it's not something that I will ever know, and that's exactly why I don't judge the lady and man I make fun of. I just don't like that they are supporting people who are staying cowards in their free response and not listening to human being experts who are the most amazing of people who can help them to get over the hump, like the little choo-choo train. That's all. So again, I mean, the reality is we have always duality, and right now we are settling in to our new sweet spot. It's not a end of the ride, but there are those who do not appreciate the ventral vagal state, and they don't have to, because again, getting to that is a journey in and of itself. And then once you're a restorative embodiment, I mean, that's just the fun ride. But getting to become a person who can access that before you get to restorative, dysregulated and modulated need to work only with thoughts, because their body needs to become safe enough for them to be ready to work with this. And that's what all the somatic therapists have made me aware of. And they say everybody is going on that journey, but that's the part of why some will say, yeah, you're always talking about all trauma. We don't want to heal all trauma. Once again, the opportunity is for anyone who takes note of their feelings and thoughts and wants to live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. That's why being yourself mindfully and or spiritually. But please let us allow ourselves, again, to use new stories. I know I will, to make fun of those who choose not to move into the grown-up land, but it's not because their child parts aren't brave. No, their child parts are all brave. All of their child parts. Their 0 to 7-year-old was brave. Then the rest is, well, it is what it is. So again, we can only do what we can to create a safer world for us physically inside, and then externally, and obviously the bigger picture we all know, go vote, do that, and we keep doing what our ancestors did. And here we go, human evolution, consciousness, bringing together spirituality, and science is, so that you can be yourself. Show yourself. I'm dying to meet you. No, be yourself. You have seen yourself. We're right here. Okay, so we'll be back again in a little bit.